subscribe if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, like, share, and leave a review so that we can get this out to more people. We truly appreciate you being here, and that helps us get it out there a lot better than just watching, listening. So we appreciate you being here and doing that. Today's guest is Jonna Weber. She is from Idaho Real Estate Investor Network. That is her primary focus. We're going to talk about a bunch of other stuff that she does, but I really enjoy talking to people in the Treasure Valley. I think it's a great way to help them kind of tell their story and get out there. So today, welcome, Jonna. Thanks for hanging out with me.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Pleasure to be here and fun to be on with a Treasure Valley angle on it. But as you know, we love talking to people all over the nation. So welcome you wherever you're listening from. And this will be fun.
Yeah. And that's kind of, we talked a little bit beforehand about kind of my audience and where it's at and where it's going and kind of all those types of things. So it's kind of funny how to watch it kind of grow and where it goes. And you have your own podcast, so you kind of know what's going on with that.
Yeah, it's fun to watch those stats, right? And you see things pop up from other countries, and it's fun. You never know why people are tuning in.
Yep. So you have a background in real estate. You do real estate investing. You're a realtor, but you have your own business as well that is your primary focus. Tell us why you got into real estate investing and why you do what you do.
Oh, appreciate that. The 30,000 foot view, really short view of it is my husband dragged me kicking and screaming into real estate investing about 22 years ago. And he was all gung ho for it. And by and large, we just acted really slowly starting up, and we went down to the closing table and closed our first investment property back then. And then we just slowly grabbed a rental here and there. And then it was during the Great Recession that I really got an epiphany on, boy, this really could be something, this real estate investing. And were you in the Treasure Valley during the Great Recession? Probably
Kind
a kid.
of, kind
Yeah.
of. No,
Okay.
I was. So I've been married for 25 years. I'm 44, so I've been married for 25 years. And our first house we bought in Caldwell was a Hubble home, like right in the beginning. I can't remember what we paid for it. It had to be under $100,000, which is insane. But
Right.
we sold it. I was working at Les Schwab and I became an assistant manager. So I had to move down to California during that time. So I missed
Oh.
the nightmare of trying to sell my house during that. But I got the nightmare of the $5 gallon gas.
Yes, right. Yeah, no, it was a scary time. I think Boise was the foreclosure capital of the world for a little blip in time. And so it was that time where everyone thought the sky was falling. And we had a rental property. I said we had kind of dabbled in rentals for a few years, and we had a rental property that we shouldn't have ever made a rental. It was a house we had previously lived in, and we were negative cash flow $800 a month on it. And so I didn't have a very positive view of rental properties at that time. And we didn't know if values were going to go to zero. But long story short, I went to a conference down in Denver, Colorado, and it really made me realize that there were a lot of people that were investing during that time when people were scared and thought the sky was falling.
Right.
And I had this little inkling right about that time that I wonder if we could take that negative cash flow rental property and turn it into something positive cash flow. And the reason that I got nervous about what we had with that negative cash flow rental property is my husband had a corporate job. We were a one income family. I was a stay-at-home mom at the time, and we were living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
And corporations were laying off right and left. We almost experienced a layoff ourselves, and we realized we had to create an alternate source of income. And so that's when I got the bug, was right during the Great Recession when things were looking very, very scary, but I knew that we had no place to go but up. And from there, we started building our portfolio. We sold that one negative cash flow property, turned it into two positive cash flow properties, and saw that there was real potential with real estate investing.
Yeah, it's amazing. I am working on getting to that point where I can actually invest in some property. And it's funny because we were those people who bought a house, like I told you about the one that we had in 2000, but we bought one in 2010 and it was $117,000, which it's now a $400,000 house. Hindsight's
Oh, yeah.
2020 because I should have just hung on to that house or went and bought and leveraged that one to get another one. But
Who
I didn't
knew?
I didn't know any better. And a lot of
Oh,
times people like my parents who told me, the whole time, it's like, don't take any risks, don't take any risks because you need to be secure in what you're doing. So go get a corporate job, make sure you have benefits, make sure you have retirement. That kind of mentality probably is what led you a little bit to say, hey, you know what? I don't want to do this right now because I'm kind of scared of what could happen, right?
Yes, and I was so scared, and I was scared even when we were making those first purchases. I thought I was crazy half the time
Yeah.
doing that because we had friends and family that thought we were crazy, and we all have stories. I walked away from multiple properties we were actually in escrow on because I got scared and walked away from them. I mean, it took every bit of courage that I had to pursue and close on those properties, and so I hopefully that makes me relatable to others that are thinking, oh my gosh, I'd love to have some diversification. I'd love to have some rentals down the road. I'd love to provide for my family in a different way. I'd love to have another million or more in retirement, but they're too scared to because
Right.
I've been there, I've walked through that and know there's light on the other side and there's a big upside. Real estate is so forgiving if it just have, even if you don't buy it at the perfect time, but if you give it enough time.
Yeah, and I think that's the funny thing. I told you the story about my mom and dad, but you think about that, like the reality with real estate is it's just like the stock market, right? Like there are
Mhm.
times where, like you're talking about the Great Recession that we had. My parents bought a house in Middleton right before that, kind of the same time when we bought that. And when that happened, they were like negative $60,000 from what they bought when they went to go get it appraised. And they're like, oh, we're losing it, this and that, blah, 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 blah. Their pay didn't change. They still could make the payment. It wasn't that big of a deal. And lo and behold, they held out, another 5 or 6 years. And guess what? They sold it for way more, almost double what they paid for it. So real
Yay.
estate comes back just like the stock market does. We may see these dips and dives, but it always goes back up. So I think when people get scared about investing, it's always like, well, what about when that dip happens? We lose this money, but you get it back, right?
Right. Yeah. And there's just fundamentals. I mean, that's a whole nother, I don't want to turn this into a real estate investing podcast,
Right.
but you cover your expenses and you don't lose unless you sell at the wrong time.
Yep, exactly. And that's why I think that a lot of people are scared to invest in real estate, and that's kind of like the, hey, no, you can't do that because it's what if the market crashes? Well, what if it does? It's going to come back. If you pay attention to what's going on, it's going to come back. It's just going to take a minute at a time.
Right. Yeah.
So so you got into investing a little bit then, and then when did the real estate part come? Like you started being a realtor as well. Did you do
Yeah.
that so that you could buy and purchase properties for yourself, or what? How did that come about?
Sort of, sort of. Okay, here's the story. I mentioned I went down to that conference and really caught the bug. And at the time, I had been a stay-at-home mom for a while, and then I was teaching school. And I went down to this conference down in Denver, Colorado. It was with Bigger Pockets. Some of your listeners might be familiar with Bigger Pockets. It's like the Facebook of real estate investing. It was in the day a huge place, organic place to get on forums and learn about real estate investing. They had a summit down in Denver, Colorado. So I went down to that with just that little thought about like, well, what if I could learn some things? I didn't have a business, didn't have a business card, no real portfolio at that point, no really business being there, so to speak. But I went, I was scared, I didn't know a soul. And I was sitting in this room, and this guy was standing up on stage, a speaker, and talking about how his daughter had moved to Boise, Idaho.
Mhm.
And he was just raving about it. Of course, this was the recession time, right?
Yeah, before it
So
was a big
long,
thing to move here.
yeah, we hadn't been discovered, and I'm doing that in air quotes. And he said Boise, Idaho is the prettiest place on earth. You walk along that Boise River, and he's like, if you guys don't know Boise, Idaho, I guarantee you, you will in 5 years. And this guy lived in California, but he
Uh-huh.
just loved Boise, and everyone was writing down on their pads of paper like Boise, Boise, like trying to figure
Right.
out where this Boise, Idaho place was. And by the way, I don't think there's a Z in Boise.
No.
And and he said that everyone was looking around, and I realized I was probably the only person out of 300 people in that room from Idaho.
Uh-huh.
And another thing clicked, like I think there's opportunity here,
Mm.
and there were going to be people looking to invest in Boise. So I did go ahead that next year. I got my real estate license, and I worked almost exclusively with investors when I first started. It was because of a podcast I wound up being on with that Bigger Pockets right after I got my license that really spurred my career. So these podcasts are a great thing. And I started having Californian after California investor contact me about investing here in Idaho. And that's how I got my start. And I was just going to do a few deals a year. I was going to fix up some houses, flip a few houses a year. Um, I knew I could just do a couple and unfortunately replace my teaching salary, which
Yeah.
is pathetic. We all agree on that. And something happened and I just went full bore. I fell in love with helping others and started being a full on agent. And at one time had 5 agents on a real estate team and have done hundreds of millions of dollars of transactions today. So it just kind of spiraled and happened. And coincidentally, after I got my license, started getting so busy working with clients, I really slowed down my investing
Uh-huh.
game because I was so busy helping other people. So in retrospect, it may not have been the most lucrative decision because there were some great deals during that time, but it was it was great. I met a lot of amazing people along the way and have incredible clients today from it.
Yeah, it's funny. I was a teacher too, so I know exactly where you're coming from with that.
Yes. Oh, that's right.
It's amazing that, you can start out, you can go get a 4-year degree and you start out, and I'm sure it was less then, but it's
Hmm.
$38,000 a year in 2014 was what my starting wage was. And I went through teaching for 4 years and I got my master's degree. And like the day that I got the piece of paper, I'm like, I'm done. And
Oh,
I
wow.
went back into sales because you can't, teachers don't get taken care of here. So it's unfortunate that it took that little to get you where you were, but that's really what it is. It's when I
Hmm.
realized how bad it was when my first paycheck that I got for 2 weeks was bigger than my paycheck for 1 month. And you're sitting there going, this is a thankless job.
I know, and so important too. So
Yeah,
important.
a hundred
But yeah,
percent.
that I'm glad that we've both experienced that, and it gives you a whole level of empathy and grace for teachers out there teaching our own kids, and it
Yeah.
was a good experience in that way.
Yeah, it's pretty tough because it's, yeah, like you said, it's important. Like, who's the people that you want teaching? You want people like us teaching because we're the type of people who are going to teach those kids to be successful rather than just, be content. So it is a tough thing. So tell us a little bit about Idaho Real Estate Investor Network, because I feel like every time you hear network, it basically is a conglomerate of a bunch of people trying to buy together to, kind of further themselves. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, well, thanks for asking. Idaho Reen, as we call it, came about pretty organically. I mentioned I was an investor, I was an agent. And so I got home from that conference. After I got my license, I started doing meetups
Hmm.
here in Idaho. And I do quarterly meetups for many years. And any investor could come, it was free. And we just connected and talked and made relationships together. And then I started a Facebook group back in 2017. It was for Idaho real estate investors. And I think it was called Boise at the time. So that started to grow organically. Of course, I was the first member of that. And then it grew. And about 2.5 years ago, around the beginning of 2023, we realized, my gosh, my team is spending a lot of time and effort on this group, and we're spending a lot of time in moderation of the Facebook group. And really, I think it really deserves to have something come off of the Facebook page and come into reality and fruition for people to really create relationships with one another. As long as the same time, everyone's coming out of hibernation of COVID and
Right.
wanting to get out to big in-person events again. And we started holding events and we launched an actual network. It was called Boise. Now we've expanded. Now we're at Idaho Real Estate Investor Network, and we're getting more and more members from around the state, which is really exciting. I'm going to be up in North Idaho next week for a meetup, for example. And it's really a RIA. I don't know if you're familiar with the term RIA, but we are an affiliate of the National RIA, which is the National Real Estate Investing Association.
Okay.
And so with that, there come a lot of discounts, a lot of perks, and a lot of knowledge for how to invest in real estate, and not from gurus, but from real people locally that are doing it themselves. So we just have a lot of fun. And it's a conglomeration of experienced investors, new investors, those that are just dipping their toes in and want to learn how to invest in real estate. And then, of course, businesses that want to be out there and be seen and known by our investors. So we have a lot of fun.
How many people do you have in the network now? Do you have numbers on that, or is it just kind of like
Yeah,
it's a
right now I
lot?
think we're sitting at about 150 members that
Okay.
are actually paying members of the group. And then we have a lot of our greater investor and community where investors can buy a guest ticket and come to an event or two and just come check it out. And then within that Facebook group has just grown organically. We've got over 5,000 people in there, and it's called Idaho Real Estate Investing. If anyone wants to come check it out, it's free to join and just kind of get to know what the group is all about and get some questions answered.
So it sounds like it's more of like a net like a really just a networking thing, right? So you're driving around and you're meeting up with people and talking about how to invest, and they're getting the ability to bring someone with them. They get to hang out. Is it kind of like just a meeting with coffee or something, or what is that? What does these meetups look like?
Well, we have what's called connection events. We have several of those a year. They sometimes we'll have more of a social event. This month we're actually doing one at Talaya Winery, and so we connect and over a glass of wine and some apps and have those conversations. And then we'll have formal speakers at meetups. We'll meet at a local location. Right now it's at a great Fidelity National Title, and we get together and we've got, it's not just me, it's primarily other incredible investors that I am able to have come share from their heart. We'll have panels, we'll have people sharing their stories. And what I find is we've got some incredible hearts here in Idaho of investors that are very, very experienced and just want to give back. And that goes for me too. I want people to not repeat some of the same mistakes that I've made.
Right.
And there's a lot of noise out there in the investing space. And so we'll have a lot of people come to us also that have invested very, very heavily, not so much in property, but in courses and in, national programs and so forth. And sometimes they don't have the basics of what's going on in their own community and what works here in Idaho. So we
Mhm.
love to give new investors that foundation in order
Yeah.
to be successful.
Yeah, and I like the fact that, like you said, like it's helping other people try to figure out how to do something that they may have been scared of, just like you were. Just and that's what gives it the human part of that is that I'm scared because I'm afraid that I'm going to lose money or whatever it is that is causing you to not take that step. You're able to kind of go, hey, look, here's all these people who have done it. This is their experiences. Yes, there are some people who are not successful, but I feel like the majority of the time you're not successful when you just quit, right? Like you've got to wait. Like people want that real quick money is what they're looking at, and you have to look at it as a long-term game, not a short-term game.
Totally. Yeah. And I think that mindset is huge. It is a network. So if people come and they just show up once and they walk out after an hour and go, I didn't get anything out of that and don't move any further, that's on them. Like
Right.
really, it's an investment, not just monetarily. That joining Idaho Arena is not a major monetary investment. It's more of a let's get connected and let's have time, invested with each other and taking the time to really learn. But you need to be able to really take the time to make those connections.
Right.
And the answers are there. You just got to be willing to look for them.
Yeah, you have to have that open mind, I think, and I think that the biggest thing is like people who are joining this, like the people who want quick money, like they probably are the people who drop out real quick because they don't really look at the big picture of it. I'm not a fan of multi-level marketing, but that's a big thing too. Like you go and you sit in there like, oh yeah, I'm going to sign up 10 people and those 10 people are going to do the work for me and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And then you find out, oh, well, it's not really that way. Or you're not really outgoing enough, or you're not really, you have to change your mindset. And I think that probably someone who comes in there and is ready to leave the first time ought to maybe come back a second time and listen a little bit more because they might get a little more out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so many different ways. Investing has changed a lot even since I first was buying rentals. And it's not just buying rentals. There's so many things. One of my favorite thing is to work with like newer investors that are busy professionals and maybe they've got dual income and they're raising the kids and they're at soccer practice at night and they don't have time to be like learning how to flip homes or buying 10 rental homes. But there are a lot of more passive opportunities that are available for people to really get their skin in the game with investing, but maybe not as active. So just so many different things for people to get educated about and to look at. And as an educator, of course, I love to
Right.
share.
And I love that. I can guarantee that it's probably really good because me being an educator, it's the same thing. Like when I go in to sell someone window coverings, which is what I do, it's like I look at myself as the person who is educating them on what we have, helping them make the best decision. And you really give them as much information as what they need. And hopefully they have something when you leave,
You are
not just,
frozen.
oh, did I freeze? Can you hear me? Let
Are you
me,
there?
yeah, I can hear
I
you.
don't know if it's you or me. You were frozen to me.
Still frozen?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Well, we're good.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you didn't freeze on me and I didn't freeze on my end. So we should be just
Okay,
fine.
good.
Technical difficulties, people. I'm sorry. It does happen sometimes, but
It does happen.
yep. And yeah, that's one of the things about podcasting is like I was talking to you earlier. I had one episode where I had double audio and it was just terrible. It's like, what do? You freak out because it's like, is this a waste? Do you ask them to come back? What do you do? So you mentioned that it wasn't very expensive to join the network. So talk a little bit about what the process is to get in the network and how you do that.
Oh, I appreciate that. Well, anyone could just go to idahoreen.com, Idaho, REIN.com, and information's right there. To join as a general member, we're talking less than $300 a year. And that includes attendance at these connection events. And we have other meetups, and we've got portals with all kinds of educational information for new real estate investors and market stats and all that good stuff.
You mentioned that you had like a lot of speakers coming too. Are the speakers
Mhm.
mostly local to Idaho or do you have people coming in from the outside as well?
We have to date, I'm kind of proud of this. It has been Idaho based speakers. We have one guy that's a member, Ryan Weimer. He is mainly investing in Idaho and has a team here in Idaho, but he happens to live in London, England. So that's my only like exception to that. He flew in from London and had a great event here earlier this year. Actually, he's spoken a couple of times, but no, these are people that are experienced investors that are part of our network that just want to give back. And so we've had every kind of like investing niche and strategy represented over the last couple of years, and it's been really fun. We also have attorneys and tax strategists and people that can really give a practical knowledge to our members.
Yeah, and that's a lot of it too. It's like I think of it as kind of like a business probably when you start real estate investing, you probably got to get an LLC, you got to live everything underneath there. Then you have different types of taxes and all kinds of different things. So that's great. You have just like a working group of people can help you with whatever you need help with.
Yeah, real estate is so hyper local too. And you
Yeah.
just need to know your zoning codes and all of the details that work in our market. So
Yeah.
it's been really fun. And along those lines, we do have some virtual calls too. So I do know a lot of really talented, experienced investors from around the nation too. So sometimes we'll bring them on a call to kind of do exclusive one-on-one training for our group too. It's
Yeah.
really fun.
Very nice. Well, I appreciate you taking the time. Again, if people want to follow you on social media, is there anything else you want to plug? You said you also might have an event coming up. Let's talk about that and let people know what's
We
going on.
do. Well, Idaho Reen and my real estate team, actually, Jonna Weber Real Estate, is co hosting the inaugural statewide real estate investing event of the year. It's a conference called Idaho Recon, and people can find it by going to Idaho Recon, REICON.com. You can also hop on my website, idahoreen.com, and find out all about it. But it's actually, at the time of this recording, it's coming right up. It's October 10th, and it's going to be right here at Boise Center on the Grove. And again, it's all brought to you by Idaho investors for Idaho investors and those looking to dip their toes in the water. We're going to have a blast, and we've got some incredible speakers lined up.
Well, we'll make sure that we get this out beforehand so that you can get some more people coming to that, and then you can. I'll put in the show notes that actual address so people can find where they can get the tickets for it. So
I appreciate it. This has been so much fun.
yeah, thank you again for doing this. And like I said, it's really good to connect with people in the Treasure Valley, and I do appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you.
All righty. All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in for another episode of Shaping Success. This is brought to you by Shade Bros. If you are looking for window coverings in the Treasure Valley, please give us a call, 208-99-SHADE, and we appreciate you. Until next time, I challenge you to find the shape of your success.